Hey, what is going on, my squids? Welcome back to another video where today we're going to be checking out more llama arts videos. I'm excited. So yes, we are back, and llama arts actually made a new one. That's why I'm going to make a new video. The woman animated. Let's watch it.
It was a late, moonless, snowy night. I heard the chilling cry of a bobcat as I arrived home from my parents' house, where we had just had Thanksgiving dinner in northern Michigan.
So got sticky.
Exhausted, I had finally made it to my bed when my pregnant girlfriend asked for nacho cheese munchies. Reluctantly, I laced up my boots and went to my car. Due to the cold, it took me a while to start the car, which only made me more irritated. But eventually I got it started, and I arrived at the convenience store to retrieve my girlfriend's mandated snacks. As I left the store, walking back towards my car, I saw a shadow of movement out of the corner of my eye. What looked like a person stood near the dumpster, just out of the light. I stepped towards the figure, and she looked at me with a giant, sinister smile.
Oh!
Her face was so weathered, it looked like she had cracks all over her face.
How's it going?
She was crouched down and appeared to be chewing on something.
Want some food?
I looked to see what she was chewing on. To my surprise, it was a severed arm. It looked old, as if it had been rotting for weeks. I saw her glance at something in her pocket. I could see the outline of what looked like a pocket knife. As soon as I looked back up, she quickly charged me. I pushed her away and then ran back to the convenience store. I burst through the door and frantically yelled towards the cashier to call the police as I turned to lock it. He asked me, "What's going on?" I scowled at him and said, "Please, just call the cops." I looked back outside and saw the woman had moved across the street and was still scrutinizing me as she maintained her malevolent grin. "Look, there's a girl out there who's trying to kill me." Looking over me, he replied, "I don't see anyone out there, sir." Those words shook me, even to this day. When the police reached the gas station, they began looking around for the woman while one of the officers asked me what had happened, and I told him the details of the encounter. One of the officers came back and said he couldn't find anything. I then took them back to where I first noticed her. We spent a few minutes intently searching, but there was no proof she was ever even there.
What?
The officer cocked his head and looked at me as if I was deranged and asked me in a judgmental tone, "Are you feeling okay?" I was about to defend myself, and then I started to think. I am tired, and I have had a couple of drinks, so I just told him, "Yes, sir. Sorry for bothering you. I hope you have a nice night." And then I drove home. I got home at around 4 o'clock in the morning. My girlfriend greeted me with an angered but concerning tone of voice. She asked me,
"Where were you? Are you okay?"
So I told her everything that happened. Of course, she didn't believe me. I couldn't get to sleep that night. I sat in my bed questioning my sanity, wondering if it was all even real. Am I crazy? Maybe I'm just tired. But no, that can't be it.
He did shove it.
I saw it.
Yeah.
But if I saw it, why was there no proof?
Yeah.
Where did the arm go? Where did she go? Before I knew it, it was 7 in the morning, and I had to go to work.
Oh.
I threw on my jacket as I was about to head to the construction site, and I put my hand in my pocket and noticed that there was a hole in it. It wasn't there the other day. I thought, what if she caught my jacket as I ran? Which further proves my suspicion that she was real. I couldn't believe it. My mind completely went wild until my girlfriend kissed me goodbye. I told my friends at work what had happened, and they didn't believe me either.
What?
They made jokes about it the entire day, but I had my bowling tournament that day, so that gave me something to look forward to. I got home and hung my vest and jacket up and rapidly put on my bowling shoes and got my bowling ball. My girlfriend looked at me with a pleasant smile and said,
"When will you be back?"
"Probably around 11.
Don't be long.
"I won't. Don't worry."
This guy runs nice.
At around 10:30, the tournament had finally finished, and we had won.
Sweet.
I was so thrilled I had forgotten about the woman. As we were leaving, I noticed something at the other end of the parking lot.
No!
It was that psychotic woman.
Bruh.
We stared at each other for what felt like an eternity. She slowly started moving towards me while waving her knife in the air and making cuts. I quickly jumped into my car and turned it on. As I looked up, I saw she was standing in front of me, staring at me. She slowly walked over to my window,
I'd be like,
and she said in a quiet, deep, and scratchy voice,
Little pig, let me in.
no.
I was frozen in fear, but I snapped back to reality when she banged on the roof of my car, screaming.
What?
I quickly slammed my foot on
Peace
the
out.
accelerator and didn't let off it until I couldn't see her anymore. When I arrived home, I told my girlfriend what had happened. Like last time, she didn't believe me.
What?
I really thought I was insane, but I tried to forget about it and get some sleep. Later that night, I woke up and saw her in my room.
What?
All she said was, "Let me in," over and over as she got closer. She then started shouting,
Let me in, let me in, let me in. Let me in.
Come on, Paul. Stop being difficult.
Huh?
Let me in.
I was wondering how in the world my girlfriend hadn't heard this going on. The woman was right next to me and held up a knife to me. That's when I fainted. I woke startled in my room, dripping with sweat. Then I remembered I don't have a girlfriend,
What?
nor a house,
What?
or a family.
What?
Come on, Paul. Time for your morning meds. Let me in.
What? So, wait. Oh! He was in a... What was it? He was in like a special care room or something like that. Because he was like deranged or something like that. He had that entire sequence was a dream. And the lady that was just screaming, "Let me in," was like her meds teacher or whatever, just opening, like knocking on the door and saying like, "Hey, let me in." Alright guys, next we're going to be watching 2 sentence horror stories. And you guys probably like, Brady, didn't we do this in the past? Yeah, we did, but we only watched 2 of them because I was too much of a freaking baby to actually watch the other ones. So let's watch it.
Number 3.
Here we go.
There was a picture in my phone of me sleeping. I live alone. Number 4. My wife woke me up last night to tell me there was an intruder in
What?
her house. She was murdered by an intruder 2 years ago.
Oh, I hate
Number
it.
5. I never go to sleep,
How can you ever sleep?
but I keep waking up.
Oh!
Number 6. The last thing I saw was my alarm clock flashing 12:07 before she pushed her long, rotting nails through my chest, her other hand muffling my scream. I sat bolt upright, relieved it was only a dream, but as I saw my alarm clock read 12:06, I heard my closet door.
Oh my gosh! This dude had a dream where his last memory before dying was seeing his alarm clock flash 12:07. He looks at his alarm clock and it says 12:06 and he hears his closet door open. He just saw his death. He just saw his death.
Creak open. Number 7. There's nothing like the laughter of a baby. unless it's 1 a.m. and you're home alone. Number 8. I begin tucking him into bed, and he tells me, "Daddy, check for monsters under my bed." I look underneath for his amusement and see him, another him, under the bed, staring back at me, quivering and whispering, "Daddy, there's somebody on my bed."
Oh my god!
Number 9. I always thought my cat had a staring problem. She always seemed fixated on my face. Until one day, when I realized that she was always looking just behind me. Number 10.
Sarah!
A girl heard her mom yell her name from downstairs. So she got up and started to head down. As she got to the stairs, her mom pulled her into her room and said,
I heard it too. Stay in here and don't make a sound.
This one's called 107 Horror Stories Animated, compilation of 2019. I met the guy who ate human flesh.
This happened when I was in college. I was 20 at the time, studying for an upcoming exam in biology.
Okay.
That is, until my roommate busted in my room. She wasn't yelling, but I could see she was drunk by her excitement. I rolled my eyes and sighed. I completely lost focus now. But it was okay. I kind of gotten used to her behavior. She was a party girl while I was, well, a nerd. I tried to get back on my reading tracks again, but she patted me on the back and drunkenly giggled before speaking. "Come on, Jasmine. Every time I see you, you're always reading a book." I sighed before speaking. "And every time I see you, you smell of alcohol and vomit." She frowned at me. "How about this? I'll be quiet all week if you come to this party tomorrow at 8. I wanted to say no, but then I thought about it. I mean, I do always work really hard. Besides, she won't barge in like this for the whole week? Sounds too good, I thought to myself. So I nodded and continued to read. We got ready. I hadn't dressed up in ages, so I was kind of excited. The party was loud, filled with drunk people making out, bumping and dancing. The party was hosted in a basement-like setting, only it was much bigger and had a lot of space. I'm not going to lie, I did have a few drinks. I wasn't drunk, but I was definitely tipsy. So, as my view became tilted, this guy comes out of nowhere and has small talk with me. He was fairly attractive. He didn't seem drunk. We met and exchanged names. From what I remember, he had red dyed hair and blue eyes. He was white and about 6 feet. His name was Luke. We laughed and talked about topics like studying and books and that kind of thing. The talking went on for about a half an hour. He then said, "Hey, I'm going to get another drink. Want anything?" And I said, "Why not? I mean, I'm having fun." So later on, he came back with drinks. And the next thing I remember, we were making out in the corner of the party room. It was so quick. And then he asked me, "Want to go back to my place?" Which I politely declined. I already know what he wants. Besides, I needed to be on campus in the morning. "Come on, I promise it will be fun." I remember that he kept on trying to get me to go, but he gave up after I made it clear I wasn't interested in going to his place. He rolled his eyes angrily and gave me a paper with a number on it. "Fine. If you change your mind, give me a call." He leaned close to me and whispered against my ear. Then he walked out, and the rest of the night was a complete blank. The next day, I woke up inside my college bedroom, on my bed, next to my roommate snoring on her bed as well. As I got up to shower, a paper fell out of my pocket. It was the number, which made me remember that guy. But I had more important things now. I showered then and went to study. I remember reading my book when all of a sudden I felt dizzy. Then I woke up in the bed with police officers and nurses talking next to me. Turns out I had this dangerous allergic reaction that could only be caused from saliva or any bodily fluids that had come from decaying or rotting flesh. Which, to my surprise, was weird. I hadn't been kissing anyone, let alone ate anything raw. Then I remembered the guy. I told the police about the guy at the party and gave them the number he gave me. A few weeks passed and my allergies went down so I could live my life normally. I just finished my test when my phone rang. I answered it, and it was the police. Turns out the guy from the party had 2 dead, decaying women's bodies inside his apartment that he ate. They must have been there for months. My heart dropped. The thought that I made out with someone who ate human flesh, or even worse, was what if I had agreed to come to his place? I may have been one of those bodies.
When I was in the 7th grade, I heard about astral projection for the first time and thought the idea seemed pretty cool. Who wouldn't want an out-of-body experience and travel around the world? Anyways, I've been attempting it for several months to no avail. I did doubt it wasn't real and eventually stopped attempting it. Then one day on a January, I decided to hit the bed at around 7 p.m. to take a nap, and the next second I began to feel I was being pulled out of my body as a strong vibration feeling overcame me, similar to that body feeling you get from a strong nicotine rush. I then was floating in my room and felt a presence right behind me, but didn't think much of it. It wasn't a good presence, more of a demonic one. Despite there being my family in the home awake, I didn't see anyone there, and only the light that illuminated the stairway was on. Everything also had a blue tint to it, and I could see clearly in the dark. I had to swim through the air to be able to move and went through my door and swam my way downstairs. I decided to go up and through the ceiling and then through the roof and explore this new plane of existence.
Cool, actually.
However, as I went through the ceiling, I saw this creature rushing towards the stairs, and it stopped as soon as I stopped moving to see it. I could only see the back of it from the right side of it since it was blocked by a wall, but it had yellow skin, pointy, elongated ears, a tail that's medium-sized, and it appeared to be as tall as I was at the time, 5'6". I stared at it for a few seconds, frozen in fear, and before I knew it, I was awake, back in my bed. I looked at my clock and several minutes had passed by. I don't know what to think of that, but it was an interesting experience.
When I was 8 years old, I didn't have any friends. My mom wouldn't allow me to play outside with the other kids in our neighborhood.
See that? Right.
I was always alone. The only playmates I had were my cousins and my brother, but it took 3 hours and 25 minutes to get to their houses. One day, my mom let me play outside with the kids in our neighborhood for the first time because she was going somewhere, maybe to work or to run errands. I got my dolls and other toys and was excited to play with the kids outside. When I got there, no one wanted to play with me. The attempt was useless, but then someone approached me. He had puppy eyes and was cute. We quickly became playmates. Even though he was a boy, he would join me for tea parties with my dolls. He also invited me to play with him at his house. But I was confused because his house looked old and abandoned. Like it hadn't been cleaned up for almost 12 years. We decided to go play in his garden. When we got there, I puked. I didn't know why at the time, but for some reason, I was disgusted. He didn't offer me water or anything. He just looked at me grinning and said, "Next time, you're going to sleep here too." 2 weeks after that upsetting experience, I went looking for him. A paper airplane flew to me out of nowhere. I picked it up, and when I opened it, I was shocked, scared, and sad. It was a newspaper clipping. The boy that I played with went missing 9 years ago.
What?
I ran to my bedroom, and I saw a shadow through my window. I looked at it closely, and it was the boy. He was smiling. Today, I'm 19 years old, and I still remember that part of my childhood so clearly.
Man who escaped from a prison and broke into my house.
One day, when I was about 6 or 7 years old,
how are you going to start me off with a fitness Grand Pacer test?
My mom had gone to my older sister's recital in Georgia, and my dad was at work.
Georgia.
He was a pilot for some airline. So she left me and my older brother, who was only 12 at the time, at the sitter's house, which was a few blocks away from my house.
Oh, that long now.
My sitter, who I'm gonna call Bev, was 19, and she was pretty much the best kind of sitter to a 6 to 7-year-old boy could ask for. She'd let us play games and stay up watching TV, as long as we didn't bother her while she was on the phone with her boyfriend.
With her boyfriend?
We were watching TV, and we could hear something scratching the paneling on the side of the house.
It's a dog.
Naturally, we blew it off as a stray animal, so we continued watching TV. About 30 minutes to an hour later, Bev ran into the living room and locked the front door and shut the blinds.
Why?
We were curious as to what she was doing. Me and my brother, being kids, got scared and started crying. Then Bev said everything would be okay. It was just a peeping Tom. So she took us upstairs and we went to her parents' room with the Nintendo and some snacks. She said stay put and not to touch anything we didn't bring into the room. Not a minute later after she walked out of the room, we heard a loud crash and glass shattering in the room below us. The sicko had thrown a brick from the walkway through the guest bedroom window and managed to get in. I remember Bev running into the room and pulling us into the closet and telling us we were going to play a game of hide and seek and to be very quiet. She got out of the closet and locked it from the outside latch.
Wait, what?
And disappeared. Several minutes passed and we could hear a grown man screaming, come out, wherever you are. I only want to play." Then I heard what sounded like water running in the bathroom across from the closet. Then it shut off. And I heard Bev yelling something at the man. It was something like, "The police are on their way. You better get out of my house now." Then we could hear loud, heavy footsteps sprinting out of the room, and then sirens wailing in the distance. Bev shrieked, and we heard a loud thud on the ground below us. Bev had managed to find an old wooden bat. As the man turned a corner to go out the front door, Bev swung the bat as hard as she could, knocking the man to the floor. Dazed,
He got up and tried chasing her outside.
What?
But the cops had already arrived and tackled the man on sight.
Dang right.
My mom came home immediately and took me, my brother, and Bev back to my house. A few years later, she explained that the man was a known sex offender and had escaped from prison.
That's disgusting.
In the report, he was said to be carrying a rather large knife in his pocket and had a Saturday night special tucked away in the waist of his pants.
A Saturday night special, huh?
It happened last year, 2018, when I was still in my second year of high school.
I gotta charge my camera.
It was earlier March that I was in school. We were just playing some quiz game on my laptop. I connected it to the projector for all of them to see. But then suddenly the school's fire alarm went off.
That's not good.
They said this isn't a drill, but rather a maniac just entered our school with a gun. So all of us closed the door and the window to our classroom and switched off the lights. It was all silent, like you could hear a pin drop to the floor. At first I wasn't panicking that much. But it all started to happen when a gunshot was heard from the distance of our room. I can assume that he already knows that we're here. We are the closest room from the entry hall. Every single one of my classmates was crying. I'm the tallest and the oldest student of them all. I'm 16 and some of them are 15 and 14 and another one is 12. So I thought, I'm the oldest. I should protect them. And I was like that. So then I grabbed the fire extinguisher in our room, because every single room in my school has a fire blanket and a fire extinguisher, just in case of a fire. I had a stupid plan inside my head that I'll spray him with the fire extinguisher.
What's it gonna do?
So, then I opened our room door.
What?
And I came across it. He was a middle-aged man, wearing a white tank and black slacks.
Oh.
He was holding a .44 Magnum caliber revolver. At first, we were having a quick draw match. Like that. He grabbed his gun first and pulls the trigger. I can feel my heart beating fast, and just then he aimed the gun at me, but it didn't shoot at all. He forgot to cock his gun, so then it's my chance to hit him with the fire extinguisher and knock him out. After that, the police arrived and every student was reunited with their family. And still, I'm wondering, what could have happened if he didn't forget to cock his gun and shoot me first?
Everybody in that room's dead. The creature horse ran. Oh.
My name is Magda, and
sure
I'm 26 years
really
old. I work in an office in the city. On the weekends, I used to love to get away from all the hustle and bustle and take a trip to the countryside. Luckily, I have a cottage in a small village which is located right at the edge of the forest. How I used to love to get out of the city and spend the weekend in my little cottage. Why did I stop? Well, I'll tell you. After a hard week at work, I needed to rest, so I decided to get out of town. I went home, packed my bags, threw them in the trunk, and drove off. When I arrived in the village, it was late in the evening and I was tired from the long drive. I went straight to bed and fell asleep quickly. In the middle of the night, I was awakened by the sound of my car alarm going off. I looked out the window, but there was nobody in sight. I found my car keys, pressed the button to shut off the alarm, and the awful noise stopped. I laid back down and tried to fall asleep. All of a sudden, the alarm went off again. I didn't feel like getting up, so I just grabbed my keys and pressed the button once more. Everything was peaceful and quiet again. However, 5 minutes later, the alarm went off a third time. Once or twice could have been an accident, but now I was wondering what was going on. Could someone be playing tricks on me in the middle of the night? I got up again and pressed the button to turn off the alarm. But this time, I didn't lay back down. I stood at the curtains and watched. After a few minutes, I saw something by the light of the moon. A shadow emerged from the bushes and slowly approached the car. I could just about make out the shape. It was something tall, skinny, and black. The figure reached out with its long, thin arms and knocked on the car. The alarm went off again, and quick as a flash, the dark figure retreated back into the bushes. At that moment, I realized what was going on and began shaking with fear. I turned off the alarm and continued to watch. The thing emerged from the bushes again, slid silently over to the gates, threw a hand through them, and removed the partition holding the gates closed. I was paralyzed with fear, and I couldn't move. My mind was overcome by panic thoughts. What was it? What did it want from me? What was it doing? Would it ever go away? A shiver ran through my body, from my head down to my toes. My mouth was dry and my heart was beating fast. I was so tense, I was gritting my teeth and clenching my hands into fists. I regained control of myself and ran down the stairs as fast as my legs could carry me to the ground floor. I wanted to look for something I could use to protect myself. However, just as I was about to switch on the lights, I suddenly froze in my tracks. The dark figure was at the window. It was pressed up against the glass, staring in, looking to see whether or not there was someone home. I immediately ducked down behind the sofa and peered out. That's when I realized what all those tricks with the car were for. It was trying to lure its victim outside. I couldn't take my eyes off its hideous face. Its skin was the color of ash and covered with wrinkles. Its eyes were small, beady, and completely black. Instead of it having a nose, there were 2 ragged holes. It didn't have any lips, just 2 rows of sharp, yellow teeth. When it breathed, it was so heavy and hoarse that it was misting up the window. I just knew it wasn't going to go away. After standing at the window for a few moments, I heard a rustling noise as it came to the front door. I watched as it tried to push its fingers through the gap under the door. The handle began to twitch wildly up and down. The creature emitted a chilling sound. It was not like a human voice. It was a deep, beastly growl, like an angry dog chewing on a bone. I knew that if it heard me, it would keep trying until it found a way to get into the house. I crouched down behind the sofa, hiding in the shadows and desperately trying not to make a sound. Tears began involuntarily streaming down my face, no matter how much I tried to stop them. I could feel my pulse pounding in my temples, and I was shaking like a leaf, just waiting for it to end. I don't know how long I cowered there. I must have been passed out. When I woke up and looked out the window, the creature was gone. The door was still in place and everything seemed secure. I've never been so relieved in all my life. I ran upstairs and looked out the window. It was light outside and there was no sign of anything wrong. Taking a chance, I grabbed my keys and without stopping to collect any of my things, I ran out to the car. I jumped in, locked the doors, and drove away from the village as fast as I could. I didn't stop driving until I got back to the city. When I got back to my apartment, I turned on the radio and heard a news report. The announcer said that, in the village, the dead bodies of 2 girls had been discovered. Their corpses had been mutilated and dumped in a swamp. I guess the creature found what it was looking for. I don't want to, but I am curious to know. What would have happened if I didn't make the right decision of sprinting?
No.